What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the divisional round we just had on Saturday. Great games of football. We'll talk a little bit about the Bengals and the Titans, and then we'll talk, obviously, the 49ers and the Packers, because the 49ers still have the Packers number, even with Aaron Rodgers on the other side. Might get some hot takes in there on Aaron Rodgers, some Jimmy G haters that I discussed before, and probably we'll talk about special teams because I saw a stupendous tweet today about how special teams needs to be taken out of football. Some people are just pure and utter idiots. We're going to discuss all of that today on the Coach Steve Show podcast. Right now, we are live on YouTube and live on the Facebook page and also live on Colorcast. Go check out Colorcast if you guys don't know what that is. It's an app only for Apple. I think it will come out for Android soon. It's where you can cast games. You could commentate some games. You could have some hot topics, debates, live podcasts like I'm doing now. So right now we are live. If you're listening to the audio version, sorry, you're missing the live part, but we'll dive into all that. So please hit the like button, subscribe button on the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. If you have Colorcast, go follow the profile, and I'll try to follow everyone back that follows and supports it as well, because there's tons of people out there. If you are listening to the audio form, please follow it wherever you listen to your podcasts. Rate it, be a friend, tell a friend, all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. Podcast is also brought to you by the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. If you go to bellyupsports.com, check out I think there's over 70 podcasts now or so, a bunch of stuff. And they're branching out. There's going to be stuff on like movies, TV shows. There's tons of blogs, great writing on there for people. Yes, there's still blogs, there's still articles. Go read them. Go check all of that. It is bellyupsports.com. So go check all that out. And this podcast is also brought to you by Coach Stone Football, and it's back to the basics, books, and drills. All you guys out there that are football coaches like me, we're in our off season, but now things are going to ramp up. We got clinics. We're trying to figure out your game plan for the summer and for the season. And if you're like me, you're trying to get simple. You're trying to get back to the basics. So if you go to coachstonefootball.com, he has tons and tons of books on football drills, practice planning, game planning, offense, defense, special teams, which is huge. His very first book is over 500 pages of drills. I'm telling you, if you go check out all these books, you'll never have to look up another drill again. I promise you. So go check out CoachStoneFootball.com. Thank you, Coach Stone, for sponsoring the podcast. All right, like I said, we're live on Colorcast. Hell of a show name. Thank you. 49ers still have the Packers number. Thank you. Appreciate that. Naming titles for a podcast, for some reason, sometimes is one of the hardest parts besides the actual, podcasting or commentating or talking about the sport in general. Because it's weird with the algorithm, you got to come up with a good name. And so you try to get a name, it's one of the hardest parts. I'll literally sit there and stare at the computer for minutes on end and go, I wonder what I should title this. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. So we are going to dive in. We're going to get the easy part out of the way before we get into Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and all that stuff. Again, we're live. Actually live, it's not pre-recorded. Live, audio version, obviously pre-recorded. So the Bengals battled the 49ers. The Bengals might be a team of destiny. We are 1 year removed from them not having a good year. Joe Burrow getting hurt. Who knew Joe Burrow when he transferred to LSU in that first year of his that he would be this great quarterback and this great draft pick, leading the Bengals into the playoffs, their first one in 30-some years in the playoffs. And, we'll get into, whoever's out there, we get into the debate of, do you want a first-round bye? Do you want to keep playing? Because that idiot Nick Wright is saying better than a bye week. That's why he's glad the Chiefs played the Steelers, so that way there's no quote-unquote rust. Some teams don't need that bye week. Some teams do need that bye week. Depending on who you are, the Titans needed it because of injuries. They were trying to get, all the wide receivers back. Then they were going to have their entire offense set up. AJ Brown coming back, all that stuff. So that's the type of team that needed it. The Chiefs kind of, really didn't need it. But, that whole debate of, do we really need the bye week? The Bengals did. They want to keep playing. You're getting Derrick Henry back, but he was coming back with like pins and metal in his ankle or something. And that's not good. But you're trying to get Julio Jones healthy. You're trying to get AJ Brown, continue to healthy. So sometimes people debate that. Do they want to keep playing? Do you want that bye week? The bye week provides rest. It provides you to watch teams and say, okay, this is what they're going to do. And the coaches, they're probably not breaking down each team. The Titans were probably when they're going, okay, we're going to play the Bengals. Who are we going to play? They're not going to break down both teams, but they're going to slowly start to figure out. So you get that little extra edge. But that's a whole big debate. But the Bengals are hot. That's a team that's like, we don't want the bye week. We want to play. The Titans needed it. So people saying that the Titans should not have had a bye week and they should have played, don't really know, because you have these injuries. If they would have played right away, they could have gotten hurt. They could have, something could have happened. So it is what it is, but the Bengals are on fire right now. They are now 10-7. They were 10-7 in the regular season. Joe Burrow is just playing lights out. 28-37, 348 yards. Now, he did have the interception. There is no touchdown passes. The Tennessee Titans defense, you're only giving up 19 points, doing pretty good. But the only thing is, Derrick Henry's not looking at himself. You give that guy 20 carries when he's been out. He's been out. So to give him all those carries, I'm not saying he's that out of shape. There's a difference between being in shape, like we're all going to the gym and we're trying to be healthy and everything else. There's a time for that type of it, or there's the NFL type. Okay. That guy was not 100% ready to be in shape. So you're giving that guy the ball 20 times. Now, I know he's a freak. I know that he's very, very good. But to give the guy 20 carries is not what you want to do. You know what I mean? Sparingly give him the ball, everything else like that. But Ryan Tannehill did not play well. I mean, 15-24 for 222 yards, pretty good. You're averaging 9.2 yards completion, good. But I mean, you have a touchdown, great. But you gave the ball back to the Bengals 3 times with 3 interceptions. So you're giving them life. You're giving them a spark. And if you guys go watch 4th and 4 that has DJ Kelsey and Zach Kyleman off of Belly Up Sports and their own podcast, they have their own show, 4th and 4. I got to watch a little bit of it early this morning, and I told them that the Bengals have confidence. And when a team has confidence, they're dangerous. And Kelsey made a good point. He said, is it confidence or is it, I don't think he said dumb confidence, but it's like, they don't really know type of confidence like that. You guys are supposed to lose. You're the Bengals. You're supposed to lose. And so I said that's even more dangerous when a team has confidence and doesn't have a care in the world of, we're just going to play. If we win, we win. We lose, we're going to be pissed off. We're going to come back even better next year. And I don't care what type of team you have, because I think the Bengals offensive line is still struggling. That was the big talk last year, to try to fix the offensive line, because Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times. Tennessee was bringing the heat to the Bengals. But the problem is, when you bring the heat to the Bengals and Joe Burrow and you still lose, there's a problem. That Bengals offense was still, they rely on the pass a lot. They were struggling in the run game. But when you complete 28 passes for 348 yards, you're averaging 9.4 yards a completion. That's going to keep you in the game, keep the chains moving, keep Tennessee's offense off the field. But then the Bengals defense is playing with a little swagger. I think that's what Zach said on the show. They're playing with a little swagger. And that's what the Bengals have right now. I don't care who you are. You get confidence. Now, eventually, you're going to play a team that just has way more talent in the NFL. When they've got way more talent than you, that's just what's going to happen. And that's what's going to happen to the Bengals here. They're going to play a team that's going to have crazy amount of talent, whether it's the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. Go Buffalo Bills. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Hopefully Buffalo Bills win because of Nick Wright, that bumbling buffoon on Fox Sports. But anyway, I digress from that. That stuff's going to give me a heart attack. They're going to face a good Bills team or a Chiefs team, and I think that's where the road ends. But people are picking them to go to the Super Bowl because of how confident they're playing, how great Joe Burrow is playing. But that offensive line is what's going to kill them, and Joe Burrow cannot continue to get hit 9 times. That's a lot of hits that's coming on a quarterback that you cannot have. That's too much. That's way too much. But the age question is the bye week, and we'll get to it again when we get to the 49ers and the Packers. the Titans did need that time. I know they were starting to win there, but they needed that time to practice to get Derrick Henry back. But I just think they overused him. But right now, the Bengals have that. It's not an idiot's confidence. It's just a swag confidence of they don't know any better. They don't know any better. Joe Burrow says that they expect to be there. Well, nobody expected them to be here. Nobody expected them to make the playoffs. Nobody expected them to win a playoff game. Nobody expected them to win 2 playoff games heading into the championship game to try to play the Chiefs or the Bills. No one expected that. So for him to say that, I mean, that's just a confidence of Joe Burrow because he was at Ohio State and saw how it would have took to win. Then he got to LSU and they won that first year. They got to a bowl game. And then to win the championship, so he understands what winning is. That's all he knows. He wants to win. He brings that kind of confidence into the locker room. And I'm telling you right now, a team that is confident is one of the most dangerous things you've ever seen in high school, in college, in the pros. It's so dangerous. So I would be scared of the Buffalo Bills. I would be scared of them, of the Bengals. That's a team that is very confident. But how you're going to beat the Bengals is the offensive line. The offensive line struggles a lot. And again, that Titans offense didn't look the same. And that's the gamble with that bye week. Their defense showed up. I mean, yeah, you gave up the yards, but you're not giving up points. You have to be okay giving up the yards. So the age-old question right now is going to be, are the Bengals a team of destiny? You always seem to have a team that's going to be destiny. Speaking of the Packers, which I'll talk about here in a second, years ago when they won the wild card, they made it to the Super Bowl. They were a team of destiny. So every year we have some type of team that really isn't supposed to be there, but they get there and it's a team of destiny. So who's going to beat them? I think the Bills or the Chiefs will get them. Now, if they play the Chiefs, I'm going to root for the Bengals. But where they're going to get hurt is that offensive line. That offensive line is like the Bears. It's just sometimes can be just ferocious. But they get out of jams because Joe Burrow can make throws. Their defense can step up and make plays. I don't know how the Bears beat this team. Joe Burrow throws like 3 straight interceptions versus the Bears. I have no idea how the Bears pulled this off. But the Bengals are pretty good, but that's how they're going to lose. And I'd be scared right now going in when you're going to see the Buffalo Bills type of defense that is one of the best. And then the Chiefs defense, you might have a chance against the Chiefs defense because they can't stop the run that well. But the Bengals are right now, they're kind of like the team of destiny right now. Joe Burrow's brought that swagger confidence to him. He's probably smoking 10 cigars every day in the locker room. So just watch out for the Bengals. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. If they go against the Chiefs, great. I'll root for the Bengals. But the swagger, when you get a swagger and you get the confidence, I've already said a million times, and I'll say it again, when you get a swagger and you get confidence, that team is going. And when a team has confidence, everything goes right. Everything goes right. That tight throw into the window between 2 guys is going to go right through them. It's going to go right through their hands, and they're going to catch it. That block, that individual block, instead of going 2 yards out of the field, it's going to go 4 yards down the field. That run that you're hitting them at the line of scrimmage, well, he's going to fall for 2 or 3 yards. So that's just what happens when a team gets confident. And on the defensive side, that team that has confidence, they don't have to stunt all the time. They can play straight up. That pass that should be caught by the wide receiver is going to bounce off their hands and it's going to be an interception. That's the type of thing that happens. The same thing in basketball. When a team gets confident, that basketball hoop, instead of being the little circle, it's going to move out huge. It's going to be like shooting a ping pong ball into that basket. You know what I mean? Or it's shooting like a blow up ball into the pool. That's what it looks like in basketball. So in football, it's the same thing. When a team gets confident, just things are going to happen. Things are going to happen that you don't know. Things are not going to go right for you personally on your team. So that's just what happens. So congratulations to the Bengals. They're moving on. Who knew they were going to do this? I didn't, unless you are a diehard Bengals fan. And every year you say, we're going all the way. Because everybody says that about their team. We're going all the way. Well, you're not. I don't think you will. But this may be the farthest they go. But this is a great thing to build on. But they have to fix that offensive line. That offensive line is just... The Bears' offensive line might be better, but good Lord, that it's bad. It's pretty bad. And then also for the Bengals to step up on defense when you're the 18th in the regular season, they were number 18 in the NFL in defense. So for them to step up like that, because Tennessee had the 12th. So, I mean, good for them. Then we move on to the next game. This is the game that everybody wants to talk about. That's why the title I have is 49ers still have the Packers number. The Packers cannot beat the 49ers in the playoffs. And every team, I believe, has that one team they just can't beat in the playoffs. There's always that team that's going to be their kryptonite. And for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, it's been the 49ers. They have a formula that can get to the Packers. But a lot's going to be said here. And I might be all over the place. And I apologize. I have notes here, but you know how it is. Sometimes things just pop in your head. So the 49ers, this game may not have been great to some people. Some people it might have been fantastic. I thought it was an okay game. Would love to have seen more points scored. Obviously, we'd love to see the points scored, but you like to see a game where both teams are pretty even here. The 49ers come away 13-10. I do believe, for some reason, this didn't click with me while the game was on. They didn't score a touchdown. San Francisco didn't score a touchdown. So to me, that says a lot about their defense. That says a lot about their special teams. Now, their offense, that shows they're maybe kind of struggling. But here's the thing. The Packers defense started to get better. And one thing that I really didn't understand was people said, well, with this defense being healthy and this and that, you should be able to stop them. The defense did its job. Again, you gave up 13 points. Now, I know they came down and did a winning field goal with Robbie Gould, which, again, Bears, why you got rid of him, I have no idea. But the Bears don't make, they don't make good choices. Robbie Gould's still playing at a high level. But I saw things about the Packers defense. In the regular season, the Packers struggled on defense. Now they got better as the year went on. They were number 9 statistically for defense. So to me, that's not bad. That's not bad. I know the Bears number 6, but you're number 9, but you have that offense on behind you. You know that if something happens, you have that type of offense. Now, I believe we'll talk the next phase. So people that are talking about, well, the Packers had to get healthy. They there was times they have not been healthy on offense, or times they have not healthy on defense, but they were coming in healthy. The Packers were another team to that argument of they needed this bye week. They needed to relax. Aaron Rodgers has the toe. Some of their defensive guys were banged up. The offensive line was banged up. So they needed that time, and they kind of want to relax and be able to watch football and kind of see what other teams are doing and all that fun stuff. So that's, again, another team that needed a bye week. So the argument of do you want to keep playing and not keep playing, it depends on what type of team you are. If you have just a couple guys banged up and you're okay, then you don't want the bye week. But if you're a team that is pretty healthy, or you need more guys to get healthy, you just need that extra, week to kind of relax and not do too much to get them healthy. Okay, the Packers were that team. And you're at home field, you have the snow and everything. So this should have been for the Packers. I knew it'd be a close game. I just wouldn't know the 49ers wouldn't score a touchdown. But to see people posting about how the Packers defense didn't play well, you held the team to freaking 13 points. That's putting your team in a situation. So I think that's going to be, this is a quick, short topic. The Packers did their job. The defense did their job. I mean, you gave up 10 points, game-winning field goal, whatever, but you did your job. You're the team. If you only give up 13 points, you're putting your team in a position to win the game. That's just what it is. You're putting them in the situation to win the game. So quit saying that the Packers defense is the reason why this happened. Now, the Packers offense struggled. They marched down the field and score, and then they didn't do it again. They had to kick a field goal. The Packers offense struggled. Now, I'm a Bears fan, so watching Bears fans, they were rooting for this. This was a tough game for me because I did a whole thing on Jimmy G and the haters for Jimmy G. Obviously, went to EIU with him, helped touch spring ball with him, so I got to talk to him a handful of times, to Jimmy G. But I've become an Aaron Rodgers fan. Bears fans don't like that. They don't like Aaron Rodgers, not one bit. They want to see him lose. I'm not saying I like the Packers. If Packers lose, it's whatever. But I've become a fan of Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of years. Like, okay, I respect him. Okay, I've become a fan. Especially when he's joined Pat McAfee's show and you kind of see him of exactly who he is. And then the amount of hate he's got over the last few months, I become more of a fan. I just like the dude. What he says what he wants to say, like the dude. So I become a fan of his. So I secretly kind of root for them to win or just for him to play well. But then, wanting Jimmy G to kind of do well too because of the hate that Jimmy G has got. They're saying he's not the quarterback. He's not that good. There's a reason why Bill Belichick wanted to keep him in New England. There's a reason why they had him in New England in the first place. There's a reason why he's been the quarterback for the team to get them to the Super Bowl. There's a reason why this year when they've talked about trading him, and it happened to be versus the Bears, he said, screw it, and just started to play well. And he's been really, really banged up. He's torn something in his hand. He's got knee issues. He's got ankle issues. He has the throwing thumb issues. So he's going out there saying, I'm going to play for this team. I'm going to get everything I've got and be hurt. And that's great. That's the type of leader quarterback you want. Okay. Like, I'm tired of that thing about Jimmy G. Okay. And I said that because Jimmy G's haters, like the Colin Cowards of the world and everything else, some of these guys that talk about Jimmy G saying he's not a good quarterback and this and that. Well, I'm not saying he's this huge elite quarterback, but sometimes you have to have a quarterback on the team that's going to do just enough to help you win. Okay. Take the Bears, for example. The Bears were always like that, and then they finally had Jay Cutler, who's a guy that could win games for you, and they screwed it up. Look at even the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer was not this huge, great. I mean, no offense to him, but statistically, if you guys want to keep talking about statistics, that guy was just a quarterback that did just enough for the offense to keep them in the game and move the ball around. Their defense led that to that Super Bowl. The Bears, to get to the Super Bowl, Rex Grossman was a quarterback that just did just enough to keep them in the game and to compete and to get to the Super Bowl, put them in a position just to win the Super Bowl. Okay. The Bears. I know I'm sticking with the Bears, but that's my team. You look at 2018. Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback that did just enough to win games in the regular season and did just enough to put them in a position to try to win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl. They were there. They were close. Jimmy G is that type of quarterback. There will be games where he'll come out and just ball out, throw for a bunch of yards, get a couple touchdowns and everything else. Then there's games where they're going to say, hey, you're just going to complete some short passes. We're going to try to hand the ball off and just do just enough to keep us in this game. That's what Jimmy G is all about. That's all it is. So people that come out and say that Jimmy G is not this good quarterback and everything else, well, those are the people that are trying to look at it from a perspective of, is this Tom Brady? Is this Aaron Rodgers? Is this? But these are the people that never played football, probably. These are the people that have never coached football and don't understand this. You can be a good quarterback and not be this Peyton Manning, this Tom Brady, this Aaron Rodgers. You want to talk about system quarterback? That might be Jimmy G. Okay. Tom Brady's proven that he's just a good quarterback. We talked about system, good quarterback. Okay. When we talk about offenses, it's not even a system. It's an offense. How do you handle the offense? How do you do this? That's Jimmy G. He did it with the Patriots when Tom Brady was suspended. He won games. He won games in the preseason. Then he goes to the 49ers, and he still does okay. He's not putting up this 300 passing yards a game, but by God, in this offense, they figured out, okay, this is what he can do. This is what we're going to do to win. Shanahan has done a great job with that. So good Lord. Okay. So in this Packers game, it's cold. He has something torn in his hand. Trey Lance isn't the guy. That's not the guy you want to put in. That's a wasted draft pick. So you're going to keep him in there. You're going to try to do what you do. And he did just enough to keep him in the game. Now, they didn't score any offensive touchdowns, but the run game wasn't there. Pass game wasn't there. So it's not just him. So that's why I'm tired of that. And then just talking about the 49ers in general, they've been banged up for about a year and a half. Ever since Super Bowl, they've all been banged up. Because the run game wasn't there. Mitchell had 53 yards rushing. Samuel had 39 yards rushing. So it wasn't like they were blowing everybody out of the water with the run. He spread the ball around in his 131 pass yards. Kittle had 63. Samuel, running back, had 44. Mitchell, running back, had 18. So, I mean, he just passed it around a little bit. They were taking time off the clock. That's what they're going to do. It was an ugly slugfest. So that part frustrates. Now, the Packers, they drive down the field and score, then they don't do it again. Okay. Now, I am a fan of Aaron Rodgers, but this is a knock on Aaron Rodgers. It's the playoffs. It's something about the Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre did the same thing. Wins a Super Bowl, sometimes got to the playoffs, wins with a lot of regular seasons. I mean, same knock on Peyton Manning. I know he got a couple Super Bowls. But same type of thing. So the knock on Aaron Rodgers is he's only won one Super Bowl. When he gets into this playoffs, they don't do too hot. It is a knock on Aaron Rodgers. But do they realize one thing I'm kind of shocked about that people didn't realize is that the 49ers had the number 3 ranked defense in the NFL. They only give up 103 yards rushing. They only give up 310 yards a game. They only give up 103 on the ground. They only give up 4 yards a rush. They give up 206 through the air. They had 48 sacks on the year. They hold teams 40% on third down. Other teams only have the ball for 29 minutes. They give up 21.5 points a game. The number one defense statistically is the Buffalo Bills. So San Francisco's number 3. So to these people that say, well, this, and that, I mean, number 3 defense in the NFL. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. And it's the playoffs. Now, one thing the Packers did, I thought they should have done a little more of is run the ball. But offensive guys, sometimes we fall into this, defensive coordinators know this. Now, in the NFL, maybe not so much, but I know in high school and in college, defensive coordinators know that most offensive guys are not going to call the same thing over and over, even if it's working, because they outsmart themselves and they say, well, if the defense does this, or the defense is probably going to do this. Well, in reality, maybe the defense didn't do anything to adjust. So they were just like, we're just going to keep doing this. We're going to try to force the ball. We're going to try to force this pass. We're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do that. I think that's what the Packers were doing. Aaron Jones had 41 yards rushing, but by God, he had the most receiving yards too. That's another problem. Devontae, he had 129 receiving yards. Like, good Lord. But I think if you have Aaron Rodgers, like the same type of thing with the Bears, I think you have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield, and they're worried about A.J. Jones. You move out to the slot and receiving. I think A.J. Dillon could have got you some yards. He had 25 yards, 30.6 yards. I think they should have ran the ball a little more. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, not a bad game. 20 of 29, 225 yards, average almost 8 yards of completion, but he had no touchdowns. He had no interceptions. But the offensive line allowed him to get sacked 5 times, and that takes the wind out of your sail. So offensive line struggled. I think they could have tried to run the ball a little more, which would help Aaron Rodgers help out the pass a little more. We don't really know the toe situation. He claimed he was okay on Pat McAfee's show. Who knows exactly what, if he's just going to say that or not. But again, the 49ers have a really, really good defense. Really good defense. And again, if the Packers win, they're going to play the winner of the Rams and the Bucks. So if the Packers would have pulled off this win, Tampa Bay has the 13th ranked defense and the Rams have 17. So if the Packers could have pulled this off, they would face a lower ranked defense and probably have a little bit more success, because that's how the 49ers formula is going to work if they play the Buccaneers or the Rams, is their defense. Their defense is what helps them stay in games, and with Jimmy G doing just enough. But they have a formula with the Packers. Be physical with Devontae Adams. Have another guy over there. They can have their just 4 guys up front, get pressure. When you sack Aaron Rodgers 4 times, that's what it is. So when the 49ers can have the dude, see, that's the thing people don't, they just look at Aaron Rodgers and say, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't score the ball. Look at the 49ers defense. They have dudes. They've been banged up this year. And while they're banged up, they get to number 3 statistically in the NFL. So, yes, I am not totally shocked that the Green Bay Packers only had 10 points. I'm kind of a little bit, I'm expecting 17 or more, but the fact they only scored 10 is not overly shocking because of the defense of the 49ers. They are physical. They are hard-hitting. They come downhill. Mike's Money Plays on Colorcast says, Rodgers losing broke my heart. Yeah, at the beginning I said, I'm a Bears fan. So, yes, seeing the Packers lose necessarily doesn't hurt my soul at all. But over the years, I've respected Aaron Rodgers. I hate him when the Bears play him. But then outside of that, I don't really, do much. Over the last year, I've become a big fan. The hate he got over the offseason. I love him on Pat McAfee's show because you get to really see Aaron Rodgers of who he is. Some of the hate he's got, I've defended him on. So I've become like a quote-unquote fan of his. But I went to school with Jimmy G, helped out spring ball EIU while he was there. So this was a hard one for me. But I'm not overly shocked at the 49ers and what they did on defense. I still think Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. I do think they need to have two MVPs. I think they need to have a playoff MVP or whatever if they can do that, and then a regular season MVP. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. There's no question. Don't give it to Tom Brady. People might if he wins today. But it is what it is. So the 49ers defense did exactly what it needed to do. Jimmy G haters just need to stop. Just stop. Just because he's not throwing 300 yards, just stop. He does enough to keep them in a game. They win games. They got to the Super Bowl. He's been banged up. He's playing with these injuries to prove that he can play. I would love to see him go back to the Packers or the Patriots. I don't think they will, but I would love to. I'd love to see him get healthy, and have this big system of Bill Belichick. I think he would do pretty well. Moving on to my next topic before I get to the big one of Aaron Rodgers was special teams. I saw another stupidity tweet. Mike's Money Plays said, agreed. Jimmy is a ball player and he does everything he needs to do to win those close games. Yes, again, people go by statistics. People go by a lot of things that I think statistics have a part to play in sports, but we can't really rely on every single thing. So the big knock from like the Colin Cowards of the world, that idiot Nick Randall-Fox of the world, Shannon Sharps, and the Skip Baylesses, where they say Jimmy G is the reason why they lose games. Jimmy G is the reason why they don't win games. Jimmy G is an offensive guy where you have to build the offense to do things around him, and he will do the things to keep you in games. I compare it to the Bears of 2006, where Rex Grossman did just that. I compare it to all that, where you have this great defense. You're going to ask him to do some things. He can do some of those things, but he also is a game manager. And they're predicated on running the football. They're predicated on play action. They're predicated on wide zone. They're predicated on short passes. That's what Jimmy G is. But I did see another stupidous post on social media today. Now, I think people put some of these up there. Just, people want to talk just to be heard. This person's name is NFL data analyst Harrison P. Kent the fourth. I don't know exactly what he is about analytics or whatever. I don't know. Like, his pinned tweet is, just because I've never played football formally in or a pickup style does not mean I don't understand the sport on a deeper level than you do. To be blunt, I'm very likely far more intelligent than you are. My analytical abilities outweigh your on-the-field experience. Right there tells you everything. That's the first thing he's put on his profile. This right here, good Lord. Yes, there are people out there that have never played basketball, never played football, anything like that. That's what makes this so great for like a color cast thing, a podcast. You can give your ability, you can give thoughts, but analytics is not the whole freaking sport. That's an insult to people that play it. That's an insult to people who coach it. Analytics have something to do with it. Numbers have things to do with it. But there's also a beauty of coaching it and seeing certain situations and understanding how to handle it. There's a beauty of playing the game and being in the situation and being this athlete and being able to do that. So that should tell you the first thing of this guy. So then, Louis Riddick, who I think the Bears should hire as GM, he's one of them, says, I love how some are, this is how it started. Louis Riddick put, I love how some are like, if it wasn't for special teams, well, guess what? It's a 3-phase game every week. You just don't care about it until it bites you in the blank or wins you the game, but it always plays a role in every win or loss. Yes, football, and I'm at fault. I need to do more on this podcast on special teams. Football is a 3-phase game. It's offense, defense, special teams. Special teams is the biggest one because what starts every single game? A special teams. It's kickoff. Okay. Now in the NFL, it's easy. They kick out the end zone probably 95% of the time. So you start them on their own 25. They get you in a good spot. Onside kicks get you the ball back to try to win the game. There's a special teams. Okay. Punting, fake punts, move the ball. That's special teams. Okay. You punt the ball to pin them down because when you look at starting positions, most teams that have bad starting positions don't score as quickly, don't score as much. That's special teams. Punt return. Devin Hester was a punt return machine. That's special teams. That's a huge spark. What happened in the Super Bowl? Now, I know they didn't win, but that's special teams. Field goals are a huge part. That is points. That marches down and wins you the game. A punt block changes momentum. To watch a game to just be offense or defense would be boring. So then this guy continues to say, he responds to this, and I saw this. Special teams is a foolish part of the game that ought to be eliminated. Allowing poorly skilled players who seldom set foot on the field to decide the outcome of a game is non-essential. Then he says, to the angered special teamers, perhaps if you worked harder, you would start on either offense or defense and not be used for special teams. Obviously, this excludes kickers and punters who simply lack the athleticism to excel in any other position. Again, this guy's name, if you're looking for him, Harrison P. Kent is his Twitter name. Go find him. You'll see NFL data and analyst Harris P. Kent IV. So the biggest idiot award outside of Nick Wright goes to this guy. Special teams is a huge part. It's a huge part of the game. It's an essential part of the game. Huge part of this game. Now, have I put stupid stuff out there? Absolutely I have. Absolutely I have. But not that. Special team. A football game would be so boring to watch an offense score and then like, okay, let's turn around, put the ball in the 20, watch the other team on offense and put our defense back out there. Or when it's fourth down, what do you do when it's on fourth down? You go for it and they get the ball right. Go play fucking flag football then. Do you know what I mean? Like, what kind of stupidiness is of this? Special teams doesn't get enough credit. He talks about to play better. You realize that, well, NFL, maybe not so much, but in high school and colleges, you see a lot of the starters out there on special teams. Nick Saban believes in putting starters out there. NFL, I believe they're in the NFL for a reason, and they're athletes. I believe backup wide receivers that still rotate on offense are on special teams. I guarantee you'll see some linebackers on there. Why do you want linebackers and wide receivers on your special teams? Well, linebackers can tackle, so you don't give up the big return. Wide receivers are pretty fast to catch the ball on punt returns. Maybe you want them out there. So special teams is a big part of this game. Go tell Steve Weatherford, who was the punter and kicker with the New York Giants, that he's not athletic. Have you seen how big that guy is, how ripped he is, his workouts? Good Lord. So they're not athletic. Can you go kick a football? Can you punt a football? No, you can't. That takes work ethic. That you do have to have a bit of athleticism. You have to work out. You have to do drills in order to kick the football, you idiot. So people that put down special teams are idiots. It's a crucial part of this game. It can determine winning or losing. And people like him who never played football, now there's some people out there that never played the game, but have been around it to seen enough of it, that know some things. Now, Nick Wright doesn't know anything, but there's some that have been, and I can respect them. But I also trust people that have coached it and played it and seen it firsthand, that don't just trust analytics. Analytics is a part of it. You see it all the time. Well, statistically, if we don't do this, this will happen. Statistically, if we go for it on fourth down and it's this, whatever. Are you crazy? This blubbering idiot. I want to read that again for people to realize how big of a blubbering idiot this is. Special teams is a foolish part of the game that ought to be eliminated. Allowing poorly skilled players who suddenly set foot on the field to decide outcome of a game is non-essential. To all the angered special teamers, perhaps if you worked harder, you would start on either offense or defense and not be used for special teams. Obviously, this includes kickers and punters who simply lack the athleticism to excel in any other position. Stupidity is what's wrong with a lot of things, especially in this world. I want to get that off my chest. I saw that and I said, I gotta put this guy on blast. The most idiotic tweet of the day goes to that guy. I should report him and get him off Twitter. That's just ridiculous, man. That's just ridiculous. All right, moving on to the last part is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has taken a lot of heat this year for him going away in the offseason. Now I know he's going to play for the Packers or not. He didn't like how things were going. Didn't like some things that were happening in the organization, in the office, and everything else. But he came back to play, and people out there, probably including myself, we discussed like who could he play for. Some people out there were, putting out these stories, and he laughed at, and he goes, "Nobody's talked to me about these stories. Like it's not true." And so he just kind of sat back and laughed. And then be on Pat McAfee's show, he said some things people didn't like, and then we could talk about the medical status and all that. But to me, that's just ridiculous. Like, why ask him the question? He said an answer. He should have followed up with it. He didn't lie. He told the NFL exactly how his status was, but they wanted to make a point, say, "We'll fine you $10,000. $10,000 he makes every minute. That does not bother him." But then, he comes out and loses this game, and all over you see, well, he's immunized versus the playoffs. People are so happy that he lost because of off the field stuff. That's why that one guy didn't vote for him because of off the field issues. And it's not even issues, it's just something they don't like of him personally. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why? Worry about the football stuff. He'll be the first one to tell you that he may not have done enough to win the game for them. He could be the first one to tell you on offense they didn't step up, that the 49ers defense kicked their butt. That's exactly what he's going to tell you. But people really wanted to watch him lose because of this whole thing that's happening in the world. And I can't say too much of it because of all being on YouTube and all that stuff. They'll hear the words and I'll get in trouble. But that's why people want him to lose. And then all of a sudden people talk about how not good he is. Yes, the playoff thing haunts him. That's something that haunts him. But guess what? It's haunted Peyton Manning. And it's haunted other good quarterbacks. It haunted Brett Favre. The only quarterback it really doesn't seem to really affect is Tom Brady. Ben Roethlisberger, it haunted a little bit. I know he's got the 2 Super Bowls, but it haunted him a little bit. There's been times the Packers have gotten into the playoffs because they play the NFC North, which is always not the best, but they win a lot. And then you quickly realize, okay, they have offensive line issues, or sometimes they have, defensive issues. And it just happens, another team plays harder. And then I just think this year, Aaron Rodgers really relied on these throws he made that were Brent Favre-esque. And then it just didn't go that way last night. He got a lot of pressure, offensive line to that. But people wanted to hate him because of off the field stuff. And it's not like the off the field stuff where he got a DUI. It's off the field stuff where it was, hurting somebody. It was a medical status. And people hated it. People hate that he goes on Pat McAfee's show and talks. It's just a show. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. I still think you need to watch Pat McAfee's show. It's the best sports show out there. But man, just don't listen to it then. Just don't listen to the Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays where you're listening to his podcast and Aaron Rodgers coming up, skip ahead, 20, 30 minutes, and you'll be fine. So people just want to hate to be hate. People want to talk to be heard, like the guy about special teams. Aaron Rodgers is still one of the best quarterbacks we have ever seen in our lifetime. But when they lose, it's not just Aaron Rodgers, it's the team. If the offensive line didn't do much, he didn't do enough. The wide receivers didn't do enough. The play calling didn't do enough. I think they should have ran the ball more. But people hate Aaron Rodgers because of what happened off the field. And then people are going after him because of the cancel culture thing. Like he wore the hoodie that says cancel culture, talked about it. They're going after him for that. Like people just want to argue about him to argue about him. People don't try to talk to him. And I would love to talk to Aaron Rodgers in person because I could have the conversation. Maybe we might disagree on something, maybe agree on everything. But people that put this out there don't want to have the conversation with him. People out there just want to say they're right and say he's wrong. People want to go out there and say he shouldn't say this or do this. I know Bears fans are going after him, and that's just I'm okay with the Bears fans going after him because of being the Packers. I'm okay seeing the Packers lose, not Aaron Rodgers. And so we'll do a whole nother podcast about like maybe where Aaron Rodgers can go next. And would he be with the Packers? Will 49ers get rid of Jimmy G and get Aaron Rodgers, which it would be a huge upgrade. Would he pull Matthew Stafford, go out there to the sunny state? Well, that's Florida. Go out to California and play on that team and maybe try to win a Super Bowl, be in a position to win a Super Bowl? Possibly. Who knows? But to hate Aaron Rodgers for something off the field that's not, killing any, he didn't shoot anybody, God forbid, didn't rape anybody, God forbid, he didn't get a DUI and wreck into something. Like he didn't do any of that. Like, remember the Barstool Fund? He gave $500,000 to that thing for the businesses. Like he does things for people outside of football. Oh, you didn't like that in the offseason that he went on vacation for a while, got away from football, because football takes a lot out of you. You are in the playoffs. You are getting to this NFC Championship game every other year. Now they moved the game to 17 regular seasons. The amount of toll it takes on your brain, because when you listen to him talk about football, the amount that he has to memorize, and he could tell you, when this play happened and this play happened and this play happened, that's a lot. That takes a lot on your memory. And then taking hits. He wanted an entire offseason. He thought the OTA stuff didn't make sense. He didn't want to do it. He thought it was good for the younger guys, but for him, he knows what's going on. He knows LaFleur's offense. He did fine. So they didn't like him for that. They didn't like some of the stuff he says because he's speaking his mind on maybe how the NFL does that, just stuff like that. He'll straight up tell you he doesn't want you to think one way or the other. He's just telling you his opinion because if you could say this, you could say this, and he's not getting hugely political like a LeBron James is and everything else. And he talks about how well educated he is on the topic before he talks about it, which is great. So people just hate Aaron Rodgers for the wrong reasons. You should hate him because he's a Packer, like the Bears fans do. They hate him because he's a Packer. Hate him for that reason. But he's not the reason why they lost the game last night. It's a team thing. That's why special teams is important. Defense is important. The offense didn't do enough. The whole offense. He'll take the blame, but not the entire blame. But yes, he should have done a little more. Football's different than basketball. But yeah, so that's my little thing on Aaron Rodgers. We won't say certain words because we know how that will roll. So the 49ers move on. They're going to wait today to see if they're going to play the Rams or the Buccaneers. The Bengals move on. They're going to wait to see who they're going to play. The Chiefs or the Bills. Rooting for the Bills. We'll not do a preview. We'll just do a post one. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about, when we get to the Final Four, and then when we get to the Super Bowl, we'll just do all that. So that wraps this up. Thank you anybody who watched or listened. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button, the subscribe button on the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. The podcast can be found anywhere you listen to your podcast, so please follow it, rate it, be a friend, tell a friend. Follow it on Colorcast if you have Apple, and you can download the Colorcast app on your phone. Go follow that as well. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Hope you guys enjoy some football. Hope you guys can appreciate some special teams a little more. But this has been another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. And until next time, this has been Coach Steve. We are out of here.